a freedom just comes from saying, this is who I am.
Music computers and robbers and looters with shooters and shooters with Rugers and shooters with Rugers. CDs with my tutors, and my tutors taught me a terrible miracle. You can lie, cheat, and still kill in America.
Appreciate you for making time for us. As soon as I heard the album, I was like, Mike, we got to sit down for this.
Thank you.
It feels like, to be honest, it doesn't feel like a rollout plan. It just feels like your life story. Like
That's
the
all it
rollout
is.
plan for this album started the day you was born.
Yeah, I wish I had the sophistication to actually plan a major. I probably would have popped off 15 years ago. I had to live a whole life and then just give people the truth. You know?
Yeah, and the life you lived for the last 10, 11 years, your last solo album being what, 2012?
Yeah, 11 years now.
For it to go through that much gap, what did you have to go through in life to make another solo album?
Well, I mean, life's been pretty amazing. Like at the 9-year-old kid that's on the album cover, little buck teeth kid. He had an imagination, and his imagination said, "You're gonna be an MC. You're gonna be a world-dominating MC." Now he had no idea how to get there, but he had decided in his mind that this was what it was going to be. So my life, even to the point of getting a record deal, was this adventure. And then I got to be an MC, and then I won a Grammy within my first couple years being an MC, and I was on some of the biggest songs in the world via Outkast and Jay-Z, you know, Blueprint 2, stuff like that. And I got a chance to see over the mountaintop, but I hadn't gotten over the mountaintop. I just had seen it. So I knew it was there, and then I fell back down the mountaintop, partially by choice, because I had an opportunity, thanks to Jermaine, when he was over, I think at Virgin, was given Purple Ribbon furnishing a deal. And I didn't take it, and I didn't want it, not because I didn't respect Jermaine. I respected and loved the hell out of the Godfather, him and Dallas of the scene. But I just was kind of disillusioned with majors. I went on a journey back down the mountain, back in the valley. I pledged allegiance to the Grind series, stuff like the Drunken Unicorn and little local shows with, you know, people like Maurice Garland supporting and New Face when he was just Larry back then. And I pledged allegiance to the Grind brings me to meeting Jason Jeter. And by then I'm housed at Grand Hustle. I'm with Tip and Jason and Hannah and God bless the dead Clay them. They're giving me a place to be. I work on the final Pledge series, and then the Rolling Stone that year, which was 12 years ago, they named Ric Flair one of the 50 best songs of that year.
Atlanta, Georgia, to make it out the ice cold streets of the city.
And that gave me really a zeal to keep pushing. Jason Jeter pops up from Turner Broadcasting, Cartoon Network, right here local, says we're revamping William Street Records and gives me an opportunity to make rap music. I meet LP, we make rap music. A year later, after the solo record, Rap Music, and we tour together, Rap Music is received exceptionally well. I remember John Gotti from the Smoking Section saying, it, you know, could possibly be a classic. We'll see how it holds over the test of time. And I remember at 10 years hitting them like, it held up. It's a classic, bro. And, but
and there's so many tracks in that album that I remember, you know, when you was like, you know, this is the elegance of
you're seeing elegance.
In the form of a black elephant.
The historical references that you make really shows that you've been a student of the movement for so long. You know, you drop it like little sprinkles, but you also giving people a history lesson too.
My job, well, I say, will I die slain like my king by
a terrorist? Will my woman be Coretta? Take my name and
cherish it. Will she Jackie O, drop the Kennedy, remarry it? My sister says necessary on some Cleopatra. My grandmother said, nope, never, that's a sacrilege. And that's just about saying, you have two widows, and you can contrast and say, well, one widow never married again. That's the noble thing to do, like Coretta. Or another widow had to keep a family and an entity intact, like Cleopatra had to do. So she had to marry, and that was saying Jackie O. It was like her. So that was in just plain fairness. Because then selfishly, I would never want Shay to remarry. But my sisters say, well, what if she has to, you know? So it was just some of that eternal conflict. But I try to drop tad bits of history of things I've learned, because I think if I preach it to you, you're not going to take it. Like if I try to give you every song can't be Reagan.
Melody,
but if I give you some stuff to be curious about, you'll go, especially in the age of Google, like everybody today should know who Herman Russell is.
For sure.
I said him enough times on my new album. You should, who's this guy rapping about? And then
they go on Google.
And then you'll see this poor kid who grew up in Summer Hill, who went on to Tuskegee University. He went on to build one of the largest development empires, and he was just a regular black kid, just like me or you. And that's what I want to inspire my music, a certain curiosity, a want to know.
For sure, for sure. Now, before the album, Michael, you had to see the mountaintop to look overhead, to go through your valley. Now, that valley and that curve up is what Michael takes us on a journey to, right?
But a decade of Run the Jewels. Like after rap music is a decade of me and LP firmly establishing ourselves as one of the best rap groups in the world. Lord have mercy, I was passionately driven the last decade to make sure that because we make magic together.
Oh, dirty go and get y'all. Shimmy, shimmy.
And the mark you have left with Run the Jewels, and you continue to also mark as well.
Yeah.
I've been telling a lot of people before this album drop, I'm like, y'all listening to Mike the movement, but y'all ain't listening to Mike the musician.
Yeah.
You know, it's like when you said in that track, you was like a revolutionary.
Banging on my adversaries, and I love Dr. King, but violence might be
Necessary.
Because when you live on
MLK,
MLK,
and it gets very scary. You might have to pull your AK, send one to the cemetery.
Yeah.
right? So even like how you capture your artistic ability in the lyricism has always been stamped, right?
Yeah.
They just wasn't paying attention.
Yeah, it's just, it wasn't, I know everything ain't for everybody. So,
Yeah.
you know, like with Run the Jewels, it's like, I remember our road manager saying, our tour manager saying one time, he said,
Yeah.
you guys are really a rock group masquerading in a rap act. Now, to some people, they may take that as you're going another genre, but it's not.
Right.
Early rap, Run DMC crowds and Beastie Boys crowds looked similar to AC/DC or Def Leppard crowds.
Right.
Because everybody was caught up in it at the same time. So even though Run DMC's the biggest, illest, wildest rap group ever, they're received in the rock community. Because a lot of the stuff they're doing matches, you know?
Yeah, the energy.
So Run the Jewels is kind of received the same way. So I get why some people who may look like us may
Right.
get it, they rapping,
Right.
but it may not be the first rap they go to. It might be the people who are used to classic 80s,
Yeah.
90s rap. It might be people who have some alternative thinkings in terms of music. Maybe some people who just like the Dead Kennedys and punk, you know what I mean? But I understood that there was an audience that knows me
Right.
that wasn't necessarily plugged in to Run the Jewels. And I understood that because I knew sonically
Right.
the family I'm out of in Dungeon Family, the style of Southern music out of Atlanta versus say
Right.
Memphis or Houston or Miami or Nolia, I knew that hadn't been heard in a long time.
Right.
And I knew that spiritually,
Right.
I was coming back to some of the teachings that my grandmother had taught me, and musically,
Right.
it brought me back to these small little Pentecostal churches.
The first time I heard the entire album in its full entirety, one word came to mind, and then that word kind of represented all types of emotions. The word that came to mind was abundance.
Yes.
You're going to get an abundance of healing. You're going to get an abundance of joy. You're going to get an abundance of Black excellence. You're going to put the excellence back into Black excellence. You're going to get an abundance of grief.
Yes.
And then you're going to get an abundance of the courage to lean into the discomfort.
Yeah.
Track number 1, you paid homage to the love of your life.
Yeah.
You said pretty as
Floretta
Caress.
Scott, all that I got. She got the face of a model. She got the heart of a solder.
She from the gutter, wife and mother, Winnie Mandela. Tell me about how she has kept you grounded in this journey of making the album that on the first track, you was going to let the world know about the love of Shay.
I don't think you know Michael if you don't know Shay.
Wow.
You know, that's it. That's
Yeah.
it. That's my ace, man. That's my twin flame. That's it. Yeah, that's it. I'm with her. I'm with her till it's over, till we out of here. And in the next life, you know, I'm with her. I told her I don't know. I don't know what put her in my life in terms of what circumstance brought us together, but I'm glad. You know, they say steel sharp is steel. A lot of times men say this is my better half, and that's very complimentary to say, but I think we make each other better. We bring out an excellence in one another that I just appreciate her for. And, you know, I don't have a mom, I don't have a grandmother, I don't have just that, that those two figures are gone. And, you know, it's a good thing that a man finds a wife.
Track number 2, you said, I shed tears every morning in the bathroom mirror, face to face.
Face with fate, had to face my fears. It was me.
The reason that I failed, that was hell. Locked in self-guilt like jail. Lord, I cried, almost died empty inside. The devil whispers in your ear, you contemplate suicide.
For you to come to the booth and to be that honest.
Yeah.
You know, where did that vulnerability come from that you were like, oh, y'all gonna know Michael and every thought that crosses his mind?
Like just the truth. It's so many
Yeah.
misconceptions out there because people want you to be a character. Like Naima, who people see on television, they want her to be what they were felt when they saw her. They don't understand the little girl who was getting told by teachers, because of your name, you'll never be on TV. Or, you know, because you're African and not African American, you'll never be understood. Just all the stuff that people dump on you.
Yeah.
That has nothing to do with you. It's just their perception.
Yeah.
Good or bad, it's still not yours. So when people want me to only be a political advocate or advocate. I wanted to be a rapper. This is all I ever wanted to be. The other stuff, my grandmother indoctrinated in me. Like I have to.
That's from the ancestors.
Yeah, I have to take part in local politics because this lady right here told me simply that's what you're supposed to do. They have to understand that at some point a man goes and just is by himself, like for Muslim brothers in particular, doing prayer 5 times, and you just get to be alone, and you get to let off some of the burden. Right. That Allah says, give me the burden. You can be done with it. And a lot of times men just have to go in the bathroom in the morning and just let it out. Right. Or in the shower, just let it out, because when you walk out that door, you're somebody's leader. Right. You're somebody's mate. You're somebody's father. You're a cornerstone in the community, and that gets heavy and it's never acknowledged. And it'll push you to the points where if you fail a little, you come down too hard on yourself. Wow. And the devil, the serpent, will get in your ear and say, man, it could all be over with. You could just end it. They could have the life insurance, you know what I mean? But that's not what
How were you able to shake off his voice when he started whispering?
Man, you just have to pray. And you have to pray. And I Lord knows, I never thought I'd be the one saying this, but like my grandmother said, you know, you can't keep running from God. And I ran so long, and I tried so hard just to be what I wanted to be, just to be a rapper. And God said, no, I have a plan. I have a purpose for you. You still get what you asked for, but in abundance, I'm going to give you these other responsibilities. And you're going to have to do them.
It's some moments in life where I was telling one of my friends the other day, like, you can spend your whole life saying a lot of empty mantras until you put meaning in it. So you can say God first until you have nothing but God. You'll never know what it is to put him first. You can say family first, but until you have nothing but family, you'll never know the power of family. But it's only through wisdom and pain that we can pour back into those mantras that felt so empty.
And even when we say pain, there's going to be a certain amount of suffering or suffrage, but you're meant to learn. I didn't complain about the valleys. I didn't, because I was so determined to make it back to the peak. I just thought the suffering came with the journey.
If life is like that Muhammad Ali quote where he said, it's not the mountain to climb, but it's the pebbles in your shoe. What would you say were your pebbles that you had to remove?
Man, you know, the pebbles are self-doubt. You know, the pebbles are resisting envy, relationships that you have fostered that are not healthy.
Right before we got on camera, I was like, I can't pick a favorite. You're like, you're not supposed to, because each one is part of a story where the album is the favorite, right? The most memorable one that I wasn't ready to listen, I'll be honest, the first time I heard this song, I had to skip over it because I wasn't ready emotionally. Some of the lyrics, you know, you said, to keep it honest, I get depressed
and be feeling scared. You see, I won't prepare and never will be. To think about your depth and need sometimes to kill me.
And then you went on to say, like, can you believe it, mama?
I keep it, mama. I turn these hating people to believers, mama.
Like, you were talking directly to her as if she is still here and her energy is still here.
Yeah, I know this about black people. No matter what religion we are, no matter what spiritual place that we're headed, I know we are in connection with our ancestors. I know that about us, absolutely, in our DNA. There is something that is in us. The prayers that your grandmother has prayed cover you to this day. The prayers my grandmother prayed cover me to this day. And I just simply had to acknowledge it because I talk to her every day. Every day I wake up, I meditate, I pray. I remember my grandmother coming to me in a dream. She did. And whether that's angels disguised as them or whether that's them, I know energy does not die. So I know that my mother in the physical is gone, but the energy that she loved me with, that she brought me here with, will never die. So she's with me. You know, if I sit still and quiet long enough, I hear old lessons and jewels of wisdom that she's given me. I just have to quiet my mind.
And this emotional journey of making the album, what did you tell her after you wrapped up the album?
Oh man, I did it, girl. I just drove around 285. I got a thing where I listen to it now when I want to listen. I just get on 285 and just drive around it. And I just did it, and I just cried. And I just laughed, and I giggled, and I went out and parked in front of her old house that I'm still on, and I just talked to her, just like I did it. Like I finally did it. When you're hunting something, and I've been hunting, capturing this moment and this emotion, it just escaped me, or it evaded me, or I almost got it, or I was almost there. It wasn't quite the right time. After 20 years, it was just time. It's like, wow.
And that's a beautiful healing journey. One thing that comes to mind when I heard about this album is the realization and the art in the time that we're given on earth. And what comes to mind really is what Benjamin E. Mays said, like, it's only a minute, but eternity lives in it.
Absolutely.
How have you been able to like maximize the time you're given as you let the world know the history of all your ancestors and your growing legacy as well?
Yeah, well, I took the 2.5 years it took to make it.
Yeah.
And now, Shay woke up. I remember we woke up on the day it dropped, and she said, "Happy Resurrection Day. You're a new man. You born again today." And this is the first of 3.
Right.
So I still got 2 more to give you, just in this. I still got Run the Jewels 5 to give you.
Yeah.
I promised you another rap music and a final pledge.
Yeah.
So this reset the clock for me.
What encouragement did Andre 3000 give you on your creative journey?
Stacks was mad.
Yeah.
So Stacks comes in, I'm out there and I'm like, yo, I want you to just hear it. No expectations, you know. Just check out.
Because his ear alone is a gift.
Absolutely. Him and Big they gave me an opportunity to change my life.
Yeah.
But I let Stacks hear it, and he's like, Kill is hard. Like,
Yeah.
he said, you mind if I come back and play some stuff tomorrow? And I'm like, what?
Do
like,
I mind?
Do I mind? Like, I wasn't going to ask, but since absolutely.
Yeah.
He came back, and he left like
Because
8,
you never know how long his sabbatical is going to last, right?
Man, he left like 8 or 9 things.
Wow.
Me and Cuz, like, you literally pulled 2 that we knew we could do.
Yeah.
Scientists, engineers being 1, another one he took back, but he swapped out. So I still got something else for him waiting.
Yeah.
But that to me that was the most encouragement I could have asked for, to say, all right, I want to be on it. I'm gonna give you this record. And I was just like, whoa.
Yeah.
And we turned the record into something beautiful with scientists.
I do wish I had scientists or engineer friends. Let's go. Get out of here, petrol is cheaper than it's ever been.
It's one of those things that will mark a moment in your life.
Absolutely. This is a generational statement. This is a generational statement. There's a high schooler that's going to hear this record. This is going to be the soundtrack to this year for them. There's a college kid that's going to hear this, going to be the soundtrack.
Yeah.
There are men in their 35, 45, 55 that once loved hip-hop, and at some point hip-hop became something just to remind them of how much they had not achieved or had failed. This record redeems that.
Just the beauty of always infusing all your identities into every single track.
Because people need to see that. Like, I'm a whole human being.
But you know what's wild is, like, I moved to the States in '96.
Yep.
I was, born in the middle of a civil war in Mogadishu. My family then moved to Kenya, and we lived at a refugee camp. So then we come over here, and it's like we go from the blackest continent to the blackest city. It felt like home.
Exactly.
But the beautiful part is, the reason why these details matter to me is the way I had to absorb Atlanta history was through the street signs.
Yep.
So it's like every time we were driving around or on the MARTA bus, I would be like, I wonder who Benjamin E. Mays is.
Who is Joseph Lowry?
Who
is Benjamin Mays? Who, like I
So
told.
that's how my curiosity for Black history started. Like, it was in the street signs.
Langford Parkway. We celebrated Tyler Perry getting his own exit.
Yeah.
Then I told somebody, I said, now Google who Arthur Langford is. I mean,
Yeah.
and they Googled and said, it's a state rep. I said, yeah. I said, that's the cool thing about Atlanta. It's been honoring Black folks. It's our job to continue that. It's just human beings and our emotion. That's all I'm really saying on Michael, that I'm a human being. And the people that I'm from, we're just human beings, just like anybody else. I'm just looking forward to what's next.
Yeah.
What will Allah put on my heart next to say? What's next? Because it's just a freedom. A freedom just comes with saying, this is who I am. This is who I am.
And I'll
It's
never
not all that
apologize
I am,
for it.
because Lord knows where I'm gonna grow, but this is who I am.
Yeah, and I appreciate you supporting me over the years. Like,
I love you.
To put culture on the map in Atlanta and to stay in Atlanta,
And
to have never left.
You've been rapping to the rappers way before Ari, and I love Ari to death. But you've been rapping and holding great rhythm too.
Yeah.
I remember when I first saw you, I was just like, man,
Yeah.
who is this amazing little African sister? This Muslima, like, who is she, man? She knows her shit. And I was just like,
Yeah.
and then when they said she's from the east side, I was like, Decatur get the claim? But I'm very proud of you. I'm very proud of the woman you've grown into. I'm very proud of the journalist you are.
Thank you.
And I'm very proud of the integrity in which you cover music, in particular Black music.
I appreciate it.
Music computers and robbers and looters with shooters and shooters with brokers and shooters with Ruger CDs with my tutors, and my tutors taught me a terrible miracle. You can lie, cheat, and still kill in America. Be celebrated like Captain America.